little while ago, I was browsing a Steam sale and came across a little game called Spelunky. It looked like it could be a fun yet simple game. The premise is that you play as an Indiana Jones look-alike that goes, well, spelunking in random caverns to find riches. Naturally, the further on you go, the more gold you'll find, but the more hazards that will be laid in front of you. You just want to get to the end and get your gold out of there. It's not that simple, of course, but before I talk about that, let me explain the gameplay. At its core, Spelunky is a cross between Bomberman and Pitfall. Let me elaborate. I say Pitfall because your nameless character is constantly hunting for gold and avoiding things like bats, snakes, spiders, and spike traps. I say Bomberman because the majority of each map is destructible, and your character has a supply of bombs in order to blow things apart. In fact, that's a lot of the fun of Spelunky. You have to either follow the path that was already set up for you, or you can make your own branches. However, before you start blowing apart the mines that you're traveling in, you need to remember a few things. For one, bombs aren't infinite. You only start out with 4. You can obtain more by finding them in destructible objects or by buying them in random stores that you'll find. It is possible to reach an unwinnable scenario if you get yourself into a hole with no way out. You do have access to a certain amount of grappling ropes, but again, these start at 4 and must be found or bought. So if you find yourself in a pit with no way out, you'll just need to restart. Secondly, bombs explode and therefore destroy the environment. This may not sound like a hazard in itself, but you really need to be aware of your immediate surroundings. If you blow something up too close to a shopkeeper, he may go batshit crazy and start firing at you like you're a terrorist. I've died a few times due to this. In addition, bombs have a tendency of setting off traps, even if not directly. For example, you can destroy a vase, and while it skyrockets into the air, if it goes into a line of sight of an arrow trap, it'll set it off, and the arrow will get fired, possibly doing damage to you. When using bombs, you always have to consider any sort of hazards that may damage you. This is mainly because you start with 4 health points. There is few ways to increase your life, but not by large margins. You can find a hostage in each level. If you can manage to pick her up and carry her to the exit, alive, she'll kiss your character in the stage transfer area and increase your life by 1. I will say that this carrying animation doesn't exactly look PG though. In addition, there is a rare chance of finding a kissing parlor, in which you can spend money to kiss the girl as many times as necessary, or at least until your wallet gets dried up. In addition to the kissing parlor, there are other random shops you can find. I've already mentioned the item shop, where you can buy bombs, ropes, or other equipment. You can find a small room with 2 or 3 chests guarded with a guy with a shotgun. I can say that I've never been able to successfully loot that room. There's also a wheel of chance you can try your luck on. Finally, there's a black market, which includes a few enemies but also a lot of shops, including a few places where you can buy new characters. This black market can be found by luck, but it's easier if you have a specific item, the Ujat Eye. It will begin flashing when you're near a hidden room. If you can manage to find the entrance, you'll end the stage and then enter a bonus level, the black market. Hopefully you have plenty of gold, because there's usually some really good items in here. So how can you defend yourself against the horrors down here? Well, of course, you can use bombs to kill tougher beasts and set off traps. You can also pick up some objects like rocks to throw at things, but most of the times, you'll be using your trusty whip. You don't have a huge range on it, and you'll get used to the timing necessary to kill the smaller creatures. There are other weapons that you can find though. Some of them are a shotgun, web gun, or boomerang. Some weapons can be found by defeating enemies, and many can be bought in the shop. Keep in mind that although your character will always have access to a whip, bombs, and rope, they can only carry one other item at a time, regardless on whether it's a weapon other than the whip, a key, a golden idol, or a hostage. So sometimes you'll have to weigh your options. Would you rather have an attack that fires across the screen or carry an idol that'll net you a ton of gold? What about the hostage? Is my health low enough to bother with her, or can I get back up to her once I dump off whatever I already have? You'll be making these choices a lot. And that's a lot of the fun with Spelunky. You can't take your time on deciding what to do though. Although it's not immediately evident, there is a time limit in each stage. Once it expires, you don't die right away. Instead, the music starts to distort, the level starts to amass fog, and suddenly a ghost will begin chasing you. This is your cue to get the hell out of that level as fast as possible. You do have plenty of time, so as long as you're not idling in a level, you should be fine. If you think that the game looks simple, it is and it isn't. The controls are given to you in a somewhat lengthy tutorial stage. When you start, you'll find the controls to be fairly tight, but as you start playing, you'll probably accidentally set off an arrow trap a few times. You may fall to your death, or maybe you'll accidentally blow yourself up. You'll happen to die a lot, but each time you'll find yourself learning something new and getting a bit further. It'll seem like every time you play, you'll get a new entry in the journal, which logs all items, areas, and enemies you encounter. You may start getting frustrated though, because every time you die, you end up in stage 1-1 again. Every cavern has 4 different stages to it. After this, you'll move to a different biome-like cavern. The first stage is all rocky cavern. The second is a jungle. The third is a slippery, icy cave. After this, I don't know. I haven't made it past 3 too. As I said, this game isn't easy. At least not to me. To help alleviate the starting over, you'll encounter a man called Tunnel Man. In exchange for bombs, rope, and gold, he'll open up a shortcut, allowing you to start at the first stage of each cavern. This will take multiple encounters though. For example, you'll have to encounter Tunnel Man 3 separate times after 1-4 for him to finally open up the shortcut to the jungle. The shortcuts are well received, although it is at the expense of possibly having good fortune in the beginning areas. As you can see, the visuals look great. They have a cartoonish look to them, and are simple but complex at the same time. The characters and enemies all have great detail, and it won't hurt your eyes at all while playing the game. Overall, Spelunky may be one of those frustrating games that is great in short spans, but it's still really fun. Almost like Rogue Legacy. I am sad to say that I could not get very far, but I'll keep trying, and possibly make an extra segment in a while for a larger playthrough. It's definitely a game to play if you like Bomberman, because there's enough to find in it to ensure you keep playing. Give it a shot, you'll enjoy it. Final score? 8 out of 10. This is Reaper, facebook.com/ReapersReviews. Happy fragging.